amounts of death and destruction against American targets. Natalie.
Willie James Inman at the White House. Let's talk more about it now and the significance of this with a man who has a lot of experience dealing with al-Qaeda and ISIS from his time on the leadership team of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, founder and executive director of the National Security Institute, Jamil Jaffer. Jamil, thanks for coming on.
Natalie, thanks for having me.
Yes, we appreciate it. It's been more than 2 decades since 9/11 and over a decade since we took out Osama bin Laden. What does getting alZawahri now mean here at home and around the world?
Well, Natalie, obviously it's a huge win for the United States, for the White House, and for our government. This taking out of Ayman alZawahri is a major event because he was the number 2 to al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden during the 9/11 attacks and has risen to the leadership of al-Qaeda since the killing of bin Laden in 2011. So a major strike for the United States and a major win when it comes to counterterrorism with this strike on Saturday.
And how much of this, Jamal, is about avenging 9/11? How much is it about threats al-Qaeda still poses today under his leadership?
Well, Natalie, a lot of this is about protecting the United States from further terrorist attacks. We know that al-Qaeda has a desire and a motivation to attack the United States both at home and to attack Americans around the globe, as well as our allies around the globe. And they continue to plan and plot these attacks. They have been significantly weakened by our counterterrorism efforts over the last 2 decades, but they remain a potent fighting force, and they operate through affiliates around the globe, almost franchises. And so taking out Ayman alZawahri sends a big message, not just al-Qaeda core, but also to the franchises around the globe. As the president said, that if you threaten Americans, we will come after you. We will find you, even if it takes 2 decades.
Yeah, you mentioned those affiliates, and I remember talk of that way back when al-Qaeda was in the news more often. How strong are those affiliates today? How solid is the organization of al-Qaeda and funded?
Well, Natalie, they vary from group to group, depending on which affiliate we're talking about. For a while, the al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula was a formidable fighting force. We took out the leader of that, a former American citizen who was the leader of that group. So we were able to successfully, limit their capabilities. Other al-Qaeda groups over time have gained footing, sometimes in Mali, around the globe, and other places. But today, the group we're most worried about is al-Qaeda core. They're in Afghanistan, in the Pakistan area, that's tried to reestablish itself. There's also a group called the Khorasan Group that was sitting co-resident with ISIS in the lands of Iraq and Syria that we were worried about for a while there also. But having taken out Ayman alZawahri now, I think we expect that al-Qaeda core will go to ground for a while, be concerned about their own security. They will appoint a new leader. And then the question becomes, will they be able to carry out further attacks? The key to this whole operation, Natalie, is us keeping the pressure on al-Qaeda and in particular al-Qaeda core to keep them on the run. That's how we ensure that they're not able to plot terrorist attacks. As soon as we let that pressure off, they will regroup and they will reform and they will try to conduct attacks against America again.
Were you surprised that he was living right in the very dense city of Kabul?
It is a surprise. I think that he obviously exposed himself. He exposed his wife and his children, which is how we were able to locate him by tracking them for a while, eventually following them back, even though they were using efforts to avoid surveillance. We were able to track them back. We then determined he was at this house. We then determined his pattern of life, seeing him on a balcony regularly where he'd spent some time outdoors. Very much unlike Osama bin Laden, who also spent time on a balcony but was well covered and well hidden. In this case, it appears, at least we believe, that Zawahiri was exposed. That's where he was taken out by 2 Hellfire missiles. So he was taking many more risks than Osama bin Laden did. But it was a decade on from Osama bin Laden's killing. He may have felt less vulnerable at this time.
And the White House also announcing there were no civilian casualties, which is always a risk with the drone. So we're happy to report that part of this story, too. We always appreciate your expertise and insights. Jamil Jaffer, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Natalie.
Well, President Biden continues